Been a bad week for free speech in the country that invented it. Hey, everybody, I'm Steve Green with Bill Whittle and Scott Ott, and this is Right Angle, brought to you by the members of BillWhittle.com. Gentlemen, we got a couple of politicians, one on the left, a Democrat, one on the right, a Republican. Well, one a Republican who just, they're coming after our free speech rights, gentlemen. That's really all I have to say. It started a couple of days ago with New York Governor Kathy Hochul, who's on this big anti-crime kick, except, instead of actually going back and doing policing and things that work, she wants to collect data and reach out to people, specifically by surveilling social media. This is what she said. We're very focused on the data we're collecting from surveillance efforts, what's being said on social media platforms. We have launched an effort to be able to counter some of the negativity and reach out to people when we see hate speech. Wow. She was not specific on what form that would take, but Bill, I picture one of those social workers they keep on talking about replacing police officers, making an appearance at my cranky Uncle Tommy's house after he put some meme up on Facebook, and maybe there will be a police officer in tow and having a little chat about his attitude. Is that what you see from this?
I think this is absolutely like a prime reason to deploy a 2-word, 7-letter sentence. You would think that anybody who is in position of government would feel the recoil at this. I mean, seriously, you would hope that people elected to the government that our founders handing down to us would feel their skin crawl at the suggestion of what she's talking about. There's so much wrong with this, but clearly the single thing wrong with it is hate speech is defined as anything that the Democrats don't like. And there's no standard and there's no consistent standard. It changes all the time. So this idea of hate speech is the same thing as a hate crime. I don't believe in hate speech and I don't believe in hate crimes. If you murder a gay person because they're gay, that's first-degree murder. But it's not more special murder because they did it because he's gay. All it does is define down the standards that keep us on the right side of freedom. So when you hear a governor saying, we're real excited about all the data we're collecting on our own citizens, it's time to get a new governor. And that's not going to happen. So what's going to happen is they are going to get the surveillance state. When I say they, I don't mean everybody. I mean places like New York are going to get the surveillance state that they asked for, and they're not going to like it very much. And all of the surveillance that they're going to be able to do in the cities, Steve, is they're going to be able to survey the destruction of urban areas because of the policies that they have grown more and more attached to, the further out into left field and the further away from any center of gravity of reason that they can possibly
Scott,
come up with.
the other one was Nikki Haley, the former South Carolina governor, Trump's UN ambassador, and now GOP presidential candidate. She wants to eliminate anonymity on social media. And I'm not even sure how you're going to define social media, whether that's just strictly social media sites like Facebook and Twitter, or if that would include free blogging sites like Blogspot, because, they've got a comment section. You can't publish your hate on there anonymously. Here's what Haley said talking to Fox News on Tuesday. She said, every person on social media should be verified by their name. When you do that, all of a sudden people have to stand by what they say, and it gets rid of the Russian bots, the Iranian bots, and the Chinese bots. And then you're going to get some civility when people know their name is next to what they say, and they know their pastor and their family members are going to see it. And Scott, the first thing that occurred to me, and apparently it's the first thing that occurred to everybody, is that the authors of the Federalist Papers, if Nikki Haley were in charge, wouldn't be able to publish them on Twitter.
Yeah, you, me, and 6 other old men would think that way.
All right, fair enough.
However, I mean, let me just say, my first reaction was, she's right, as far as what would happen if people had to use their actual names, setting aside what role government might have in all this. What's that?
No.
Yeah, but at least you know who to avoid then. And if you have to verify who you are, then it kind of cuts down on a lot of the random stuff that's being ginned up by strangers. At least I know that I can unfriend my brother-in-law, and he's gone. So, and it's funny because from the beginning, way back in the day when they had these like bulletin board forum kind of things, I forget what they even called them. I was part of some group that was some education discussion group. And I determined when I joined the first board I ever joined, I would always use my actual name on social media sites, or I would, if I couldn't get my actual name, I would identify myself by my actual name as insurance against my own proclivities to take advantage of the anonymity and pop off at somebody in a way that I wouldn't do if I actually had to identify myself personally. So on a kind of social level or on a moral level, I think it's better if people actually identify themselves that way. On a government interference level, like government should make it happen like this, as much as I think it might improve the world, I don't think government should have anything to do with that. And Steve, if I could throw in one thing, when you were talking about Kathy Hochul in New York policing social media, basically, or surveilling social media, was she doing that just to catch people engaged in hate speech, or is she suggesting that's a way, when you find the hate speech people, you're heading off a greater crime?
She was not very clear. All she wanted to do was brag about how her surveillance efforts were going to were a big part of her anti-crime campaign, which seemed...
Okay, so if it's related somehow to crime, and here's the thing that I think is a huge problem with this. I mean, this reminds me of the TV show Person of Interest, which, anybody who's seen it knows there's like this massive computer program that's able to anticipate people who are going to be part of criminal activities and head them off at the pass. And I think that's the road you go down with this kind of pre-surveillance, or even if you're just talking about hate speech, creating a whole class of non-pre-existing complaint crimes where the government is going out there looking for people who somebody should have complained about or should have accused of doing something illegal. Well, let's just find them before they're even accused. Or let's find people who are engaged in nasty speech before they engage in some sort of physical act that would be a crime. That's a road nobody wants to go down, except perhaps some politicians.
They ought to take her and strap her into Malcolm McDowell's chair in Clockwork Orange and force her eyes open and make her watch the lives of others for 10 hours straight while Beethoven is playing. And then see how she likes it,
Oh boy, as I said, it's been a rough week for the First Amendment. We've got people attacking it from both sides. It makes me sad. But, the whole reason we have constitutionally protected rights, constitutionally recognized rights, is to try and remove those areas of human liberty from the government's purview at all. And the whole purpose of the amendment process to change those is to set a very high bar for changing these things. And what we have now is politicians who just decide that they're going to go ahead and find ways to circumvent these constitutionally protected rights without going through the legal process to do that. And there's a word for that: lawlessness. The real criminals, the really scary criminals, aren't the guys in alleys with guns. They're the people in offices with staffs in places like Albany and Sacramento and Washington, D.C. And that's your right angle on that, brought to you by the members of BillWhittle.com. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.